Well, happy Tuesday for everybody on this side of the globe. You may be Wednesday if you're listening to in Australia or New Zealand or other places like that. But oh my God, I am so thrilled to have today's guest on who it's I'm not going to get into a long conversation, y'all, because I want to get into this, but I have to tell you, Tanja was part of my membership and living in the extraordinary for a while. And it blows my mind the heart and the talent and the healers and that's the aware people that show up in the Beyond the Ordinary community, in the membership portals, and that it's just we walk around so inconspicuously, like we're just being humans doing this thing. And then Tanja comes in, and I have a couple of sessions of her, and I'm like, stuff starts cracking open that I didn't even know needed to crack open, and the liberation that comes, and the clarification, and the opportunities and timeline jumps that occur are just profound. So I'm thrilled to have Tanja on the call with us today. And we're going to get into some nitty gritty of what's going on energetically on today's call. Tanja's probably going to lead us through a couple of processes. We're all going to be with the flow today because there's so much that wants to come in from this place of connecting with what is at the moment that it is. And we'll jump into some Q&A as well. So Tanja, I'm not going to read your bio. I just welcome to the show. I'm so grateful that you reached out, or we reached out to one another, or however this occurred, and here that you are. And again, I'm excited about what's coming through.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with you and with everyone today. I have been a BTO fan for, at least 10 years. I have you like 2012. I think I found your show during kind of one of my first, big, I would say, psychic openings. And this community has been so supportive to me over the years in my journey. And just thank you for you and for all you do. And just, I can't wait to get into everything we're going to discuss today. Super juicy.
So as we get into everything, so I'm not monotone this whole time, why don't you describe a little bit of how it is that you work with clients and the benefits that you witness them receiving?
So I practice a lot of different modalities. I've been in the healing arts really my whole life. I was giving little old ladies Reiki treatments when I was a kid, delivering papers after delivering their Sunday paper. And I've just learned lots of modalities over the years. So it started out with touch therapy in terms of body work and massage and Reiki. And about maybe 5-6 years ago, the light language came on. Maybe a few years before that, I went to school and got a master's in coaching. So, it's kind of based on all the tools and all of the modalities that I've learned along the years. When I come into session, it's really coming in with this blank slate and what does this person need for their ultimate highest and best good here in this now moment. And maybe it's inner child work, maybe it's a physical healing, and light language will come in for that physical healing, for the vibration of the toning to come through and penetrate into the cells in the body and help move things that need to move. Maybe it's a relationship shift. And so it's really a whole, cornucopia, I will say, of different techniques and styles and tools that'll come in, but whatever that person needs in the moment, it happens. So sometimes it's timeline work, like you mentioned, that we did when you received one of your sessions from me. It's so special, and the results I've seen have been amazing over the years. People would have spontaneous healings on my table. For instance, a 20-year chronic, problem just disappears. And they're like, what, how did that happen? And, abundance coming in, really this inner freedom and inner peace and tranquility, and knowing that it's okay to shine as who you really are and be in your empowered, confident self without reservations. I would say that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that people experience in working with me, short term or long term.
Well, and I love that you bring up the concept of being okay with being a certain way, because on our pre-call, we actually got into what has been coming through, and it's beyond just being okay with it. So what's been streaming through your awareness and through you personally also over the last couple of months that you told me is really shifting, I'll have to call it a direction into what you're deciding to receive and to grow into and to share with the world?
Mm. So I've really noticed that a lot of, let's say, the dust under the carpet. So kind of like, that pad under the carpet, the dust underneath that pad has been coming up. That's just kind of the metaphor that's coming to mind. Decades long patterns and really kind of niggly, sticky, stuff has been surfacing in a big way. And so whether I'm processing things in dream time that are very intense and very visceral, or just having anger for no reason in my body and like, where is this anger coming from? And realizing, oh, well, there's kind of a lot to be mad about right now, just looking out in the world. And it's okay that I'm processing some of this anger in my body. It's really, for me, been about honoring and accepting the trauma that's kind of been left over in my cells, and really consciously saying, okay, let's dissolve it. Like, I came in with a really big mission. It scared the crap out of me most of my life. I ran from it. And finally, it's like, no, in order to really get on and do what I came here to do, I can't be carrying this stuff with me anymore. It served me. It served my journey on getting me to where I am today, but where I'm going and what I'm here to do, I can't take it with me. So releasing it with love.
Well, it's fascinating also because we can get to the points like, okay, we're tired of this. We're tired of the confusion. We're tired of the overwhelm. We're tired of the financial stuff getting sticky on a continuous basis. So the relationship kind of keep circulating in a way that feels like it's the difficulty is evolving a little bit, but it seems like we're on the same karmic wheel and we haven't gotten past it. And deciding to move past it is one thing, but there's, in my experience, profoundly over the last 2 to 3 months, there has been energetic support in the form of sessions, your sessions included, profound, support in dream time, and support in roles playing out in physical time that are really showing up as tools to help us process these deep-seated, unvalidated energies that with these processes can finally purge. It's more than just the decision of it. It's the facilitating energies and devotions and other people like you who are creating spontaneous opportunities for these things to come up and erupt out of us, however that may be, for us to really transition into, okay, what's truly calling.
Mm-hmm. And I think that what is coming up right now is very multidimensional and multi-layered. I think a lot of us knew in this incarnation specifically, we could get a lot done. And so we came on line with this knowingness that I'm here to transcend and transmute not only my own karmic patterns, but my ancestral lineage patterns, things that have been sticky for millennia, maybe. And we have the opportunity and the consciousness available today where we can talk about it, and we can we have the technology to meet in a setting like this and broadcast out to the world a different perspective that 100 years ago wasn't possible. And so being able to hold this space in our experiences of, yes, processing our past lives in this lifetime of previous versions of self, but also so many layers that we came in here to clear, and having the conversation to be able to be really conscious about it. I think it's just so fascinating, and being able to transmute, like the session we did with you, however many timelines at once, and be done with it. And then seeing how much space that opens up when we can do a total timeline cleanse like that, and really be conscious about it.
Mm-hmm. What do you notice happens during like these timeline type of cleanses? How are your clients, ways that they've navigated their lives? How do they shift? And I know it could be lots of different things for different clients, but I'd love some examples of it. Yeah.
Well, I can remember doing a timeline cleanse around prosperity and abundance for someone. So we were very intentional about clearing some of the slavery and mental slavery and physical slavery, this kind of, very toxic relationship with money, seeing it tied to this kind of, patriarchal toxic system. And so there was a whole bunch that came through in that of, where she was literally seeing a lot of, not pleasant visions throughout the experience. And then when we finished the session, we were debriefing, and about within 5-10 minutes, a knock on her door happened. And she's like, I don't know who that is. And she ran to the door, and she comes back and she puts up a check. She goes, literally, this just got dropped off on my door. And it was totally this, like, random thing out of nowhere. And it was just like, whoa, that's so awesome. That's just one of the first stories that comes to mind. So it's such an internal shift. It's this taking off the old lenses, whatever those old lenses were, and being able to shift the perspective into one where miracles are possible, where unlimited possibilities are possible, where you're not limited in where you're going from here. So it's like taking the blinkers off. It's kind of like taking off these lenses that are gray and kind of making the world seem dim, right? And putting on these rainbow lenses of, oh my gosh, I can see the world in a new way, and really feeling lighter. I would say that probably 99.9% of the sessions I do, when people walk away from them, they feel lighter and clearer, and things things unravel to make synchronicities happen easier and just make life easier, I would say.
And that was my experience also, as I had 2 sessions with you, and ran through them. And it wasn't just something that I felt. Yes, I felt it while we were in process, but it's also something that lingered. I can feel the shifts happening in physical time as the time went on. And so it's like an energy that stayed through, where there was a rewiring, a repatterning happening. It was unmistakable, from that support of getting to know that part of myself more intimately, and having the opportunity to allow it to run through, to come into consciousness, to leave what didn't serve in reference to most of the frequency that I was carrying, because it wasn't running on the same power. And then it had an opportunity really to either immerse into the greater field, or that energy could find a different field to play with that didn't have to necessarily be in my field, if that makes sense. So that was an interesting brain, mind, etheric body type of process that I felt. Something that you really, I think, are so adept at, really, is that there's a connection into a physical reality that by bringing the energy in the way that you do and the clarity that comes through for it, that there's this capacity to see things for what they are. And so not having to numb out, not having to pretend it isn't there, or even getting into a feeling of despair or hopelessness because we'd rather not do it, or we don't think that something better is possible. And there's so much of that hopelessness and despair that I hear people going through that I would love it, Tanja, if you talk a little bit about that, but perhaps also maybe even if you're open to it and if it feels right, take us into a process for in the group call to help us work that numbing, blocking hopelessness out of our system.
Okay. So so a few things are coming in that I want to share. So first of all, receiving blocks. So I can scan someone, and if somebody has, 150,000 receiving blocks, I can, my higher self, the team, the guides, they'll show me, oh, they have a lot of receiving blocks. So then we ask those to be lifted, they might not lift in 5 minutes, right? Or 50 minutes. It might take a week or two for those to really unravel and then integrate. So just to kind of speak into what you just mentioned of how things shifted over time, that sometimes we can't just drop that many layers of something in a second. Or if we did, we'd be detoxing and it would be not so much fun. So being able for it to land, so you'll hear me say, it landed at 100%, and then it's integrated, let's say 50% at the end of the session. And then over the next month or two, it'll integrate fully. And that's why, so it'll land with ease and grace and divine timing and not be such a jolt to the system.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hopelessness is, we're watching, the world that we knew 3 years ago doesn't exist today. And there's a looking into the rear view mirror and feeling that pull, right? Of just, oh, we didn't, how that feeling, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think that feeling of looking in the rearview mirror is very much fueling some of the powerlessness, is because it's hard to see through the fog up in the distance at the horizon on what's on the other side of this kind of collective, chaotic calibration of reality as we know it that we're witnessing right now. And so, first of all, every one of us that's here on the planet, our higher selves knew that we were coming in at a time where we were going to see some major shifts happening, as individually, like we were talking about a moment ago, and collectively. And so part of allowing that death process to happen and for the old to fall away is very painful. And it can charge those hopelessness feelings and those senses of, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I'm feeling I don't know how much more of this purging this vitriol and this collective angst. I don't know how much more I can deal with. And I know for me as a global empath, who as a child, I felt like I could feel Mother Earth crying through my body. And it was so hard to hold that space. And yeah, you do want to numb and you do want to run away from it because it can feel so overwhelming. So it's fascinating that when we're in the past or when we're in the future, that's very much where a lot of that energy is. Where when we get into the here and now, it just kind of melts away and we can allow that present moment power, the power of the here and now moment, to remind us that not only are we safe and loved, but also that we're powerful.
Mm.
And I think that's the part that gets lost in translation sometime with focusing on the outer hopelessness or even the inner hopelessness, is we forget our power in that moment. And when we can come back and remember, oh my gosh, I am this powerful, infinite being, and I'm bigger than anything in front of me.
Mm.
Then we get to experience that timelessness, just for, even if it's for a moment. And that helps to shift that powerlessness into, or that hopelessness into a place of possibility.
Yeah, I feel like that hopelessness also that's coming in is also a reflection of how we're adjusting and calibrating into this place where we've put our hopes onto others and we have to come back to ourselves to put our hope back into us.
Mhm.
So we've been giving that power that's innate within us into a structure, into a system, into another person. And the truth is that we've been manipulating innocently someone else, caretaking someone else, handling our power for us, or telling us what to do with it, whether it's amplifying it or diminishing it, doesn't matter. And that many of us have had to go through sensations of hopelessness to remember to come back to ourselves. And it's wonderful that of what you bring to the table and the way that you do it also, because it is a coming back to self. And as enough of these conversations, it doesn't go over the edge of hopelessness into a place where people would want to, again, you hear so many people in this community, I don't know why I'm on this timeline, I don't know why I'm on earth, it's like I wish I wasn't here. And it's like, no, it's all that's just an indication of you getting your power back. So what you speak of just resonates for me so strongly. And again, I want to bring everybody on the call and listen on replay to the attention that if you are feeling that, it's calling you back to you.
Mhm.
It's,
And our sovereignty can very much exist in co-creation with others and in interconnectedness. And, we don't have to carry what's not ours to carry, though.
right.
And in the healing community, it's so easy to want to bring everybody with us. And, oh, it's so easy for me to do X, Y, and Z. Let me just do it for you. And we can all carry our own to the water, and fill up our own wells, and we can do it as a group.
Mhm.
And there's an innate loneliness, I think, that sometimes comes in with this
Yeah.
well, I can't rely on anybody, and it is all up to me. And that leaves me kind of, feeling like I'm walking alone in the desert type of thing,
Mhm.
where when we realize that, there's thousands of us walking in the desert together, it takes that loneliness and it transforms it into this, this interconnected web of light charging ahead is the image I'm seeing right now. Like lanterns, that that kind of a lantern ritual that you'll see, where we're all together, and that makes the light so much brighter than just one person standing in the middle of nothing, and feeling all alone in it. And
Mhm.
I think that the loneliness has been amplified because so many people are working from home now, and they're not seeing their friends as often, or they've been more in this cocoon hibernation. And it's almost like, okay, Mother Earth put us all in timeout for a reason. What are we going to do with it? And how can we use this as an opportunity for growth and to find our connected and interconnectedness and our sovereignty, and realize that we're right on time?
Mhm. And we're right on time for sure. And again, I'm very grateful that you brought up the loneliness part also, because for me also it's part of the initiation, and we are being initiated into a multiverse way of being.
Yeah.
It's just what's happening in my awareness. Yeah.
So I would love to bring in a little process and
I
feeling
love that. Yes.
here. So just coming into this here and now moment, allowing for the conversation we just had to fall away, Just giving yourself the gift of here and now. Knowing that whatever is on your mind, you can always come back to it later. Just giving yourself the gift to just soak in the love that is here for you in this community, in this beautiful container that John holds, and that is here for you all the time from all that is. And just breathe in this here and now moment. Letting go of all yesterdays, letting go of all tomorrows. And just feeling a wave of peace. Just inviting this wave of peace. Asking for any and all receiving blocks to sleep. There we go. Calling in your higher self, your master guides and teachers, all that is, source, prime creator, the universe. To allow all blocks to peace to fall away. All receiving blocks to peace to fall away. And just allow yourself to feel embraced by the wings of heaven. Letting a soft breeze just blow out any static, any energy that doesn't belong to you. All the energy that you've been carrying that isn't yours to carry, just allow whatever heaviness has collected on your shoulders and your back and your joints, wherever that heaviness has been that you've been carrying, just allow this wave of peace to blow it away. There you go. And just being ready to let go of the stories and the karma drama and all of the static and interference that's been running in your mind, body, spirit, wherever it's been living or lying. Just finally be willing to surrender it and say, goodbye. I don't need this heaviness in my being anymore from where I'm going. There we go. And just allow that to like evaporate off of you like dew in the warmth of the sun, melting away. Beautiful. And now I'm seeing a golden rose placed on everyone's head. So just imagine your crown blooming this beautiful golden rose and feeling the rainbow rays of light coming in and pouring a beautiful light on top of this rainbow rose and allowing for whatever is in your ultimate highest and best good to receive right here, right now. These beautiful codes of peace that are here available for us on the planet. Divine sovereignty, peace. And just feel those penetrating every atom, every wave, every particle of your being, knowing that whatever is here for you can be received with ease and grace, allowing you a remembrance of who you really are in truth as the magical, amazing, powerful, creative creation of energy and light that you are. And so it is.
Voila. And so it is. Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh, what timing are we? Oh, let's get into Q&A. Let's take some callers so they can experience. If you guys want to ask your personal questions, raise your hands. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Can feel the energy flowing through. I'm promote some of y'all to panelists here, so let's me work on that.
Okay.
Why wouldn't it allow me to do it? Hold on a second. I'm trying to do it with you guys. Let's see who comes up here. I promise I'm doing it. I'm doing Kate D. You're coming up. Let's get you to go first, please. And welcome.
Thank you so much. Yay. Thank you, John. Tanja, I'm so excited. I just read about you real quick. I'm like, I have to join this call. I was wondering if you had any insight suggestions in terms of health issues, energy. I don't know if you need any details or if that question's enough.
Yeah. Inner child, age 4. Have you done work with her?
Yes, it actually came up in a session earlier today with someone, so that's interesting.
So she wants to come out of hiding, and she's just really playing hide and seek with you. So it's kind of like she's showing me there's the wounded inner 4-year-old, and there's also the pristine inner 4-year-old. And it's like almost seeing them as twins and letting them play together a little bit. So however that works for you, maybe, doing some art and letting the pristine inner child draw a picture, and then letting the little one who's hiding and who's scared to draw. But I'm seeing them both drawing, and to give them permission to speak and to, speak to each other. And then allowing that healing to move up into the here and now. So are you familiar with the Russian nesting dolls, the Matryoshka dolls?
Yeah.
So it's like seeing that healing moving up from that inner doll. So from your 4-year-old to your 5-year-old to your 6-year-old, all the way up into this here and now. So just be very conscious of that as you're working, as after they kind of get a chance to interact, letting that healing move all the way up into the line and allowing that to come into your heart. And I think that that's gonna help a lot with what is going on currently. And then in the here and now, I'm also, are you drinking enough water every day?
I'm trying to.
So being more conscious about the water that you're drinking. So like as you're drinking it, see it fueling your cells, and even doing a little water, just asking your water, please give me everything that my body needs right now, and allowing that water to calibrate specifically for you in the here and now moment. So that's something that I'm feeling that you can do now as well. Just to start right away until the inner little ones get a chance for more expression.
Thank you. And I used to draw a lot as a kid, and I don't now. So thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I have to ask you, because we talk about doing this clearing work and inviting the inner child. And again, there's so much that is being resolved, coming to resolution.
Mhm.
Why at this time? What is the calling? Because we've been healing for a long time, and we've stepped into kind of like this wobble of, okay, which direction are we going to go in, and whose will are we asserting? And yes, we're getting to know ourselves more, but that's kind of wobbling our world, but we feel more empowered. And there's something beyond that, Kate. There's something beyond bringing your 4-year-old in. There's a why that I really want to bring into the conversation for everyone, because it's that awareness. Your why you wake up in the morning is so much more important than your what. And if you lead with that, it's like you have purpose.
Mm.
And so what comes through you, Tanja? Why?
And it is like that. I really feel our pristine inner ones really wanting to lead us forward. It's the activation that comes with package A. I just downloaded that on the 22nd. And in it, our little inner pristine one is taking our hand and walking us through this path. And it's that beginner's mind, it's the imagination, it's the play. When we're 4, we're not asking what. We know our sovereignty at that age. We know we're meant to be here. There's no question, because all of the stories of life haven't layered on top of that. So I really feel it's this remembrance of the gift that this life is the why.
Yeah. And then that ignites in us, again, from my awareness of when we ignite that light within us, we can't help but to share it with others. We want others to play with. And so wherever anybody else is not in that light, can't see that doorway, or maybe has their back turned to it, you're like, hey, come play in my sandcastles. And so you're just constantly holding that space. Not that you're pulling them up, not that you have to heal them,
Mhm.
because they're on their divine journey, but the more of us that hold that space of the awareness of the divinity that we are and the power that it carries, the more that the rest of the shadow gets illuminated again into the luminance that it really carries.
Beautiful. It's funny. I saw something this morning that is just really resonating when we're growing in the womb. If mother is injured for any reason or has heartache, that there's actually fetal cells that will travel to heal the mom.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so, yes. And so the mom is building the baby with our blood. But if something goes on, the cells from the baby will come up to help the mom heal. So and so I think that this inner child, there's a connection there too, where that aspect of us can come in and help us heal in a way that maybe our adult self that's been, let's just face it, has gone through it. You don't come into this life unscathed, right? And so it's this remembrance that there is this pristine part of us that we can invite into us to assist in our healing.
And for you personally, you were sharing earlier that your why is getting more pronounced. It's like it's like there's no more dipping your toe into the lake to see if it's warm or not. You know it's a lake, it's water, what you're going into. And again, I'm using that example, and you're choosing to dive in. And for so many of us on this call, right? Everyone on this call, in this replay, we know what we're diving into. Let's not pretend anymore that we don't.
Yeah.
And we know that there's a journey with it, and they're individualized journeys based on whatever experiences that we've had, or whatever past life experiences or energies we're bringing in. And when you remember that, the joy, the sense of purpose, your why, it just becomes unscathed. And so as you've been choosing, yes, you've been feeling, and again, you shared with me, your like energetic field is amplifying to a point, it's like, you're shifting in a huge way for a much bigger purpose.
Yeah. And
And that's part of the work that you do. That's part of the work that you help bring people into. You've helped illuminate that even more by mirroring it to me when we had our sessions.
and it's the why can sometimes be really scary.
Mhm.
And it's really when it's that, what does it look like if we can, it's like that whole, dance like nobody's watching, right? When we can just step into the why, like, who cares what anybody, I'm just going to be me and the world is going to adjust.
Mhm.
And when we care, when we are over in that overthinking, overdoing, overanalyzing, they're trying to figure it out. I got to figure this out. I should be farther along. When we're asking all of those questions, we're just we're not giving ourselves permission to dance like no one's watching.
Mhm.
And when we can make that shift, I think it's a lot easier. Doesn't mean it's not challenging, right? Something can be easy, but still challenging.
Yeah. And again, I want to go back to the technology also of when we can make that shift. And sometimes it's just, we're not in this for solo journeys, and it's technologies. Again, you were talking about technologies that connect us, but there's these soul activating alignment calibration technologies that are becoming available to really help to facilitate this expansion that we're growing into. So I wanted to bring light to that. We'll get into your special offer in a second. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's so important that we bring this in. We are being facilitated at this time in such a huge way to really break out of whatever this mold we have normalized, and to create something beyond the bounds of what we thought has been possible. And again, your work for me, it helped me break and crack and shed into another layer of something that I felt I had access to, or something I knew was there, or something that was activating. And it's just, it's been tremendous. And that acted as a catalyst for something else, which acted as a catalyst for something else. And it just keeps going. So beautiful. I want to take another caller before we get into your special offer. And we're going to take a lot more callers, but let's get into Eleanor. Eleanor, welcome to the call.
Hello. It's nice to see you all. My question is, how do we identify our blocks? Like, I mean, you talked about, kind of getting in basically into the funk. But when we're working on something specific, maybe it's opening up, maybe it's more creative, whatever it is, how do we identify a block?
First thing to come to mind is triggers. First thing is, that's why something can be very triggering for one person, and to the person sitting next to you, it's not going to bother at all, because they might not have, they have a totally different experience with it. So let's, I'd like to get a little specific with you. So you can, identify a trigger that's causing a block. So what area do you feel blocked in?
It's the confidence to maybe start my own business.
Okay. Is it that you don't know what you want to do, or what you want to do doesn't seem realistic?
I know what I want to do, and I know other people that do it. So it's not that it's not realistic.
Okay. I don't know why that word unrealistic came in. So that but it was like that, what's going to help you make it feel real?
I think, and I'm going to kind of throw out what I kind of feel is a block, is that I have to do this myself.
Mhm.
Like
So
nobody's going to help me.
do you see how easy that was for you to name it?
I've been
And
working on that one for a while. So it's like,
yeah, but in that moment, you're able to name it because it's giving yourself permission to look at it,
mhm.
right? There is a trigger here of, and I'm going to try to ask the question instead of naming it. Hold on. What's the worst thing that could happen?
I see my head goes in a tailspin. I could lose a lot of money in security. So that's the thing. Yeah.
So there's the trigger. So we
Okay.
can always kind of ask, what's the worst thing that could happen? That's a great way to find it.
Okay.
And then therefore we're working through a block of failure, really. Just gonna name it, right? Like if you lose a whole bunch of money, then you made a mistake and it's like, oh, and it's coming back and remembering, well, the only failure is not trying, right? It just feel like that in the moment. And so, so if you notice doing it all by yourself, it feels bigger than you. Potentially, making an investment that may or may not pan out, that feels bigger than you. So something that you can do is to play around with being bigger than it.
Oh.
Yeah. Bigger than it. Let's see. Yeah, and doing a process on this would take longer than just like a moment or two.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
I'm feeling that also, and I have to say, and I just want to be completely transparent and my love for you, Eleanor. It's deeper than the business, and I think Tanya's being polite.
I've done a lot of work on it, and I think I could identify it. So
yeah, and so it's coming to, I'd recommend the session for you. I'm saying it's like part of the
like I'm just saying.
It's and follow your own guidance, but just in the question that you're asking, the way Tanya was approaching, I could feel the business thing, but the business thing wasn't really the surface, that what you really there was like something that's much more intimate that's coming through that could release everything else.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of in that same boat, and maybe they can't identify that core thing.
I agree with you.
Genesis of it all. So yeah.
And
picking a place to start is good. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of heart here. There's a lot of heart energy here. So any heart openings that you can do, any recognizing where, even doing some automatic writing around heart blocks and heart walls, and just kind of letting your mind blank. And it's kind of like when you're making soup and the film rises to the surface, just giving yourself permission to just write whatever is there. What is my heart trying to show me? Because a lot of this is in the heart. Yeah.
Tanya, would I be putting you on the spot if and you can say no, it doesn't work that way or whatever, but I'm asking just because I get to ask for you guys and for May, to ask for light language transmission for heart opening.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Awesome. All right, let's do it right now.
All right.
This is for you, Eleanor. Thank you. And for all of you guys.
Hui hui shui hi hui shu hi hui I wish hui wish I hui shu hi hui shu hi hui he hi hui shu hi hui hi hui hi shui hi hui shu I hui hi hi hui shu hi sha sha hui sha shu sha sha hui he hi hui I Hui hai o shadadai, o he hai o didadadada, what is shwadadadadai, what did what did what did who did what did what did what did I would one and one and one and one and one and one.
Thank you, Tanya. Wow, I felt that. Eleanor, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Uh,
both.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
And Tanya, she's good transmission. So good. All right, I'm going to take some more callers in a little bit. I want to get into a special offer because, again, there's the opportunity for a personal session with you, and there's some live classes that you're hosting and some other really valuable transmissions that you have on there. So everybody on the call, on the replay, the link for the special offer should be popping up in the chat box any second now. Thank you, April. April, where are you? And then she's typing. There it is. I'm so impatient. It's in the chat box now. Just click on the link or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Tanja 26. And Tanya's TANJA 26. And it'll take you to that. And I say I'm impatient. I have to tell you, the energy of impatience is coming through for me.
Mhm.
And it's a calibrating also. It's an understanding of being more in relationship with what I want and the flow of it and what throws it off kilter. Not that anybody's wrong for not meeting me in my timing, but me recognizing a flow that's happening within me and how it's wanting to be met, and how that ego part of it is also adjusting to the collective part as well. So we're functioning both as multi-dimensional beings and earth beings simultaneously, as creators and as co-creators.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating how that comes through. I had to share my process about impatience. Tell us about your special offer, Tanya.
So with November, coming up, and just in the season of giving, at least here in the States, and I really wanted to put something together that was going to be in service as much as possible to this amazing community. So this is a pretty packed month of transformation. Really, it is from November 1st, and you are in a 24/7 remote healing container for the entire month. There's going to be 4 weekly classes, and each week is going to build off of the next. So there's a MP3 that comes with the package right away. It's great to listen to that right away because that's going to clear any receiving blocks. It's going to really help you shed, energy that's not yours, the collective unconsciousness, some of the chaos. So it just kind of helps to almost prime the energy field for the entire month of being in a remote healing container. So that's the team of light that works with me, which is a whole group of ascended masters and archangels and guides and teachers, along with your own, will be helping you really shed what needs to shed so you can up level where you're looking to up level. And really it's all about remembering who we are, and giving ourselves permission to step into our confident, most powerful selves. The healing, and so the remote healing containers, this heart healing palace. So just knowing that you're in this container being held. Then we have the weekly support calls. So every week builds on the next, and we're going to be clearing, opening, and then activating the peace codes and activating these new vibrations of harmony and sovereignty and oneness. So therefore you're sharing that vibration out with the rest of the world around you. And then we'll take a couple of week break, let everything integrate. Like we were saying with John earlier, is that, it builds and it really give it some time to land. And then we'll have a 90-minute Q&A the first week of December, I believe, to just kind of see how all the energies landed, really, ask your questions that you have left over from that time, your takeaways. And then that's package A. And then package B is all that plus a half-hour one-to-one session with me. And it is amazing how much we can do in that amount of time. I almost think of it as stopping time sometimes, where it feels like we've been, doing hours worth of work in a half hour. It's really amazing. And I find that even the shorter amounts of time are really great, because we do so much, to where sometimes if it's a longer session, it's like, I can't take it, there's only so much that can be absorbed, right? So you're able to absorb exactly what's meant to absorb, what's meant to clear, what's meant to come in for you during that one-to-one time.
Amazing. So the first package is $97. There's a 2 payment option. I'm sorry, $127. There's a 2 payment option on that. And to clarify, Tanja, so again, there's an MP3 activation, the gateway into the Peace Portal. There's the 1 month access to the Heart Healing Palace.
That's the remote container. That's the
remote container. And that includes the 90-minute live group Q&A.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the Q&A is after. So the remote healing container is really like, in conjunction with the weekly healing classes, right? So you're in this heart healing container for 30 days, the whole month. And then every week we're going to be doing group work. And then the 90-minute bonus is after the 4 weeks. We're going to take a 2-week break and then come back.
And so to clarify, you're saying that they're remote healings, but you're saying that they're live group healings. So are people going to show to a Zoom call or an MP or a recorded call, or are they just going to be
live call?
Or it is a live call? Okay.
Yes, so it's a weekly live call. So the first week is all about looking at our triggers, identifying blocks, like what we were talking with Eleanor about. The second week is really doing heart healing. So it's going to be really taking down the heart walls that are ready to come down, letting go of that dust under the carpet that we've been talking about, those old patterns, those old traumas that have been surfacing. Week 3 is when we go into the downloads and the activating the codes that are available on the planet right now. And then week 4 is really sharing that elevated frequency out in the world around you. You're getting that whole month of the heart healing. Then we're going to take a break over Thanksgiving and then come back together the first week of December for that 90-minute bonus call.
This is cool, y'all. It's because, again, you can feel the remote transmissions that Tanja's sharing in between your sessions. And I love that when you were emailing me, when we had private sessions, you're like, hey, you've 90% integrated this, but this one's only 80%, and it's still unfolding. And I could feel that. I can feel the transition taking place. So between, again, the private session, the remote work that you were doing with me, which is part of package A, and the follow-up that you were giving me just for confirmation, because I could feel the energy moving, which is so, I love when that happens, because that's just another confirmation of what my mind is believing is occurring. So that's so wonderful. For $127, y'all, package A, you get all of that.
And you can put your intentions into that container as well. So
Yeah.
you can be very intentional. This is what I'm here to work on. This is what I'd really like to clear. This is what I really want to step into. And, really be intentional about what you're receiving in that container. So sending a form to everybody right away, and they can put in their intentions. So that that what you're wanting support with is going to be getting 24/7 support around for the whole month.
Yeah, and I have to apologize for everybody on the special offer page. There is a section in April. If you'll go to the bottom part of package A, it does say $97. And I believe it's supposed to be 127, or if you can correct it to the right, it's supposed to be 127. Is that right, Tanya?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. So I apologize for any confusion, y'all. It's 127. There's so much value in here. I'm not gonna ask Tanya to lower it because of the mistake. That's on our team, and I didn't audit this before, so my apologies, but it's only $30 more than supposedly what was on here. And it's kind of what you get on this is just a value of about $1,400 that's in here. And then for only $20 more, they get a 30-minute session with you. That's
No.
crazy.
It's 197.
It's 197. So
yeah, did it get?
It's on there for 147 in the second one. So for another $50, and again, I apologize for the confusion, y'all.
At the very bottom, it's correct.
At the very bottom, it's correct.
Yeah,
Whichever link you click on, it's going to go to 197.
Yeah.
So y'all be aware of that as
I
well.
didn't notice that either earlier.
And we'll get that corrected on the page. So y'all don't email saying, hey, the page said 147. What is it? It's 197. And it's freaking awesome. I so recommend it. So it's 127, 197, 2 payment options. Get into the remote healings and just enjoy this process with Tanya. It's wonderful. And it can shift so much. So again, the link for the special offer is in the chat box. The buttons will be changed afterwards for wherever they're incorrect, but you know the right pricing now. And again, I hope you take advantage of this special opportunity to work with Tanya at this very discounted price. It's certainly not what I paid for sessions. And I didn't get all this other stuff. So again, you guys are getting a very unique opportunity and very generous offer from Tanya. So Tanya, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And with that, I want to open up to some more Q&A. And again, the link buttons are changed. Refresh your page. Thank you, April. All right, let's get to our next caller. How about we go to Kathy? Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
You too, thank you. Actually, I worked with Tanya last year.
Oh, awesome.
It was the beginning of the year. It was through something else, and yeah, we had a private session. I worked with her through group things too, and it was awesome. But you know, I've been working on myself like everybody else, and so at that time I was, you know, working with something else, and we were going through things, and I felt for a while like I haven't been able to kind of go a little bit more forward, no matter what I'm doing, and even in some things personally. And I signed up for this summit. You know, there's different summits, and through a different speaker last week, and every time I received an email, my computer was freezing. And so I called the tech guy after I figured out it was the computer, and she contacted her tech guy. I had to go around to the speaker, and anyway, it turns out I found out with a quick session with her last night that I have some male ancestor that's been kind of hindering my progress, you know, because I like even with some things I have like some paperwork I need to log in, and I've never been a procrastinator. So can you like tap into that and see what like is going on, or you know, I mean, I don't know, or the best way to help me like get rid of this like person or whatever that, you know, because I've always felt like because I can usually just make myself like, okay, this is the day I got to do this and do this, and something has just not been right for, you know, a few months.
Okay, I want you to say out loud, I totally am, or I totally and completely take full responsibility for myself.
I totally and completely take full responsibility for myself.
Okay, that's 30% true right now. So and there's no judgment in any of this, right? Sometimes it's easier to put things out there as the cause of certain things and to see those things. And I'm not saying those things aren't existing or aren't happening. They probably are. But just like with Eleanor, how sometimes we have to flip it to where these things outside of ourselves are smaller and we are bigger than it, then give ourselves permission to then take the responsibility to say, no, you're not welcome here. Does that make sense?
Right. No. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I hope it was okay to deliver that like that. It's not coming from a place of judgment.
No. That's what I said. There's just something, like I said, I always can, I'm just the type of person to get things done. And I just feel, for a while, it's been like, what?
So all energy that doesn't belong to me, hold on. So just see all energy that doesn't belong to you leaving your house, just out the front door. So all energy that doesn't belong to me, just see it out the front door. Claiming your power. Claiming your space. I take full and complete responsibility of myself.
I take full and complete responsibility of myself.
Ooh, I could let an exhale out in that statement. Yes.
Yeah. And I do. And I sage and I have crystals and, so, I try to.
Yeah. And those are still outside of you. All of that is still outside of you. So when we realize we are stronger than anything, right? And we are the deciders, and we get to proclaim and determine what's in our space, nothing can penetrate that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I have to be, I guess, more firmer.
Well, Kathy, I want you to come back and listen to this part of this, because there's a lot that wants to be rewired, and Tanya's bringing in a lot of power for you. And if you listen a few times and just kind of let it grok without needing your mind to take it to a particular place.
Okay.
And letting everything be innocent in the energy, and come back and listen. Let everything just be in its perfection. Listen to what Tanya's sharing with you. Go back to the callbacks where she's asking you to repeat after her.
Okay.
And feel it landing. I felt it so strongly when she called out certain things. It's like, there it was. But then I felt your mind go somewhere with it. That went to this empowerment again. It's like, oh wait, come back. Come back. Y'all felt it too, right? Can y'all feel the shift?
Analytical sign.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's wonderful. You're reminding us also.
It better the left and the right, but
Tanya, that's so good. Is there anything else that was coming up for Kathy that you wanted to share? I'm sorry I interrupted, but I had to call that out.
No, that's good.
I would work with that mantra. I take full and complete responsibility for myself, and feel into your heart. So again, the heart space is kind of, your heart wants to open and release. So kind of that same automatic writing. What is my heart? What is the message of my heart trying to communicate with me? Let that come out without thinking of it, just like stream of consciousness. Set a timer for 20 minutes and just start writing, and just don't stop. Even if it's, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. Allow the heart to write. And whatever is underneath there is kind of where the disempowerment, where I'm feeling the taproot of some of the disempowerment coming from. So like the last time you said it, you were about 50% solid. So keep working with the statement as well as letting the heart soften, so you can start claiming that power that is yours. And as you claim it, then the interference can't come in.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thank you.
Kathy, thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, we have a question that came in from Denise. Denise, thank you for writing in. So Denise is getting into light language, or has been speaking light language, but her question is, and she starts with OG, so I'm not sure if that means something to you or not. So OG, can you tell me if the light language that I've been speaking is for my own expansion, or if it can be used for something else?
That's both. That's a strong both.
Is your answer? Let's move on. No, I'm kidding.
So that's a very strong both. It's when the light language came, you know, and just from my own experience, when it came on for me the first time, I was receiving a Reiki treatment from someone, and the sound wanted to come out, and he could kind of say, like, are you wanting to say something? And I'm like, yeah. It's just like, well, let the sound out. And it was, I'll never forget, it was Aishuit Iwati Bishai Wati, and it just started going on and on. And he's like, oh, that kind of sounds Palladian. And I'm like, that sounds like what? Like, I had no idea what he was talking about. And so I sat on it to myself, and just whenever I felt called to do it, I would kind of put my hand up. And if I was driving in the car or wherever, like, I didn't share it with anyone for over 3 years, because it felt so bizarre at first. And like, my husband heard me doing it, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't worry about it. And he's like, okay, have fun with your gobbledygook. That's what he called it at first. And then I realized that it transformed as I worked with it. And as I gave myself permission to use it and share it, it changed and it melded, and then it kind of took on a life of its own, and it was very organic. So for anyone first starting out with light language, just let it be organic is probably the thing that worked for me the most, and not thinking it, overthinking or thinking, just letting it unfold and do what it does organically, and share where I felt called to share, and, work with it without the rational mind coming in and trying to figure it out. Because that's when it really will, when you start thinking, what does it mean? And interpretations, now I can, if I'm meant to interpret it, I can interpret it. If it's meant to just be vibrational healing, then that's what it is. Because the vibrational healing will bypass the conscious mind and go straight into the subconscious, where if the mind is trying to figure it out, then it can't land.
Well, and Lynn gets into the question, it's like, I have light language also for a number of years, but I have no idea what to do with it. So what would you respond to Lynn?
What is there's a fear here I'm feeling a fear there, like not knowing what to do with it. It's almost like there's trepidation there. And I think if you just let it, again, flow organically how it wants to, it's going to show you where it wants you to take it.
It also takes me to the quote you said earlier, dance like nobody's watching. It's like, as you allow it to come out, again, the organic nature of it, it will reveal where it wants to go. It just will. But it's your embodiment first. It comes through you. It's
yeah. The first time I ever shared it on a Facebook Live in like a small group where she encouraged group members to share it, I think this was 4 years ago almost, I shook. I mean, I was on camera shaking, sharing it, but something said, just share it. And then every time I shared it, it was easier and easier, and I felt less like an alien. Because I really was like still worried, like, oh, what are people going to think, and this and that. And as I started sharing it, the trepidation around it just became less and less and less and less and less. And sure, there might be family members of mine that think I'm crazy. Oh, well, like, you know, I know what my gift is and I'm going to share it. And if you want to listen to it, great. If you don't, great.
Yeah. And it's a gift for you. And it's, again, it's a gift that you're receiving for you first. And from that embodied experience of the receiving it, you can be a transmitter from it in its purest essence.
Yeah.
Unless you're a trance medium, and that's a whole different thing, but you don't do trance mediumship, do you?
Trans mediumship. So mediumship does come in, but I don't know if I've ever heard the term trans.
The trance mediumship is where something else just completely takes over and you come back into your body and you don't remember what was there and you feel like you're energetically spent, and your light language doesn't come in that way. You're conscious of of the tones and everything else.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, I think I've had 1 or 2 experiences like that in my life, and it was not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a comfortable exchange. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this differently.
It's good. Light language is a big topic that we can get into, but these are great questions. And again, just an awareness and a permission to just be freaking you, freaking beautiful you. It is amazing. Lisa writes, great to hear that, Tanja. Thank you for sharing your honesty. Yeah, it's wonderful. All right, let's go to another caller. And again, the price points have been adjusted on the special offer. The link is up. April's typed it in again. So again, the remote healing, the live group sessions, the weekly calls, the bonus, the bonus that's on there, and also the MP3 activation is $127. And for another $50, crazy, Tanja, and thank you. For another $50, you get 30 minutes with Tanja to really go into
Another 70, I think. 127 and then 197.
Oh, 70. I can't even do math today. For another couple of meals out, you'll be able to dive into deep session. And Eleanor, getting back into, I don't know what my blocks are. For me, going into sessions and going into session with Tanja, it wasn't about, I could feel something blocking me. Or actually, the first one was I felt like this glass ceiling, and that was the block. It's like I felt I was bumping up against something that I couldn't quite break through, and I didn't know why. And that's the block. And that's really expanding into what else is available. But the other was really, it's like, okay, what else is available? And sometimes we call them blocks, and sometimes we call it not knowing, and sometimes as an organic unfoldment. But I'm wondering, Tanja, if we can use the term blocks as something that we can have a positive relationship with, rather than something that is like trying to manipulate us backwards.
Absolutely. I mean, so there's resistance, right? How can resistance be a good thing?
Right.
Okay. So like if you're a river, the bank of the river is really the resistance keeping all of the river flowing, or the water would just spill out everywhere. With our heart, right? It's contracting, it's expanding, it's contracting, it's expanding. With our breath, it's contracting and expanding. In the contraction, that is the resistance. And we need that in order to, that's just part of the pulse of life, right? So that's why sometimes before there's a big opening or a big expansion or breakthrough, you feel the most resistance or the most contracted, because you have to have that contraction in order to have that expansion take place. So when we know that the block is just serving its role as in the balance of life, that resistance, that contraction is holding space for the expansion to happen. And then after we expand, we have the next contraction. Because if we had everything that we ever wanted land in our lap tomorrow, we'd have a whole new list of new things that we wanted the next day. Because that's just part of being human. right? And in order to get to that next, you're going to have the contraction before you expand into the next.
Right.
So it's just being able to look at the block as a stepping stool instead of this big ominous thing that we have to somehow overcome or surmount or jump over, right? It's just the next little hop, skip, and the jump before the expansion.
Can you imagine being so open to receive everything that we wanted, that we got it all at the same time? I'm not sure if I would be available for that much stimulation simultaneously. I don't know. Right. But we put ourselves into those positions. But wait. Right. Let the beauty of it unfold.
Yeah. Let the pulse, invite the pulse. You know, it's the heart healing palace, and what the gateway to peace palace, and all of these, this frequency is really honoring this pulse, really honoring the contraction and the expansion. Right now, with the world kind of feeling like it's falling apart, it just, the whole globe feels contracted. And if you're empathic, you're going to be feeling that contraction. There's just, and so what's on the other side of it? Being able to see that new earth and that ascended timeline for humanity, with which so many of us can, and we're anchoring in those higher frequencies into the here and now. And so being able to be that expansion within the global contraction, really acknowledge what you're doing for the planet by showing up and in the frequency that you are, and being aware of it.
And I love that you call it entering into the gateway of peace, into that golden palace. Because that's what happens when you get into that flow and you recognize the rhythms, and you're with it rather than resisting it or trying to create out of separation. Isn't that how separation began, right? Thinking that we knew better than source. And so we're getting back into the flow, back into the rhythm, back into recognizing ourselves as source, not trying to reinvent ourselves as something other than source. Which is so beautiful. What you're streaming through is, it's beautiful. And again, I'm so excited for the people who are going to participate with you in these journeys, because they're special. I was looking forward to the call today to introduce our community to Tanja. Yeah, it's, again, the calls are amazing. The connection with Tanja in those sessions are just really transformative. And so again, the session,
I can feel how special the group is, and the transformation that's in this pocket that's going to happen. It's really, I can feel how expansive it is and how much possibility there is in this. So I'm super excited about it.
And Denise just made me smile. She is owning her stuff. She says, OG's Ocean Goddess. OG. Awesome, Denise. Thank you. Tanja, thank you so much for being on the call today. There's so much that we could have covered, and I know we got into a lot of dialogue, but it felt like a lot of energy was shifting and uplifting through.
We're going to take one more caller. Do we have time to take one more?
Let's take one more. Who are you being called to?
Linda.
Oh, hi, Linda.
The glasses.
We'll end with Linda tonight.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you so much for taking my call, both of you. My resistance level seems to be of not being able to receive, and I do a lot of giving.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes. So receiving blocks here. Let me just, so we're going to scan for receiving blocks this lifetime. And we're going to go back. How many? About 30 lifetimes here. Grab them all, grab them all, grab them all. Grabbing. Okay. Got them. Okay.
Ooh,
20 million something. So I want you to imagine these receiving blocks as like hairs, right? So I don't know
Okay.
how many hairs that are on our head, but 20 million hairs really, we can hold it in a bundle, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I just want you to imagine your higher self putting her hands out and just calling in all of these threads into her hands.
Okay.
There, you got them. And now we're going to close the loop. So if you know what a torus field looks like, each
Mhm.
thread is going to become a circle. And it's
Okay.
going to be like you're holding this donut.
Okay. Got it.
Yep, you do. Beautiful. And so we're going to invite, feeling Archangel Gabriel here really strong, and just seeing him beaming this whole donut with love. And just this, there's a little heart softening that's being invited in. Just let your heart, it's safe to receive, letting all the patterns throughout all time, space, dimensions, planes, realities, parallels, worlds, and known and unknown, where you had to give 1 million to get 10, where you had to prove something to someone, where you weren't worthy just by being you. Just dissolving all of that and allowing Archangel Gabriel to melt this donut of blocks into light. Now, all clear.
Oh, that was great. I saw the whole thing. I felt it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that energy on the end of today's call as we all transition into that.
I appreciate it. Namaste.
Namaste.
You're welcome.
That was wonderful.
Bring that forward for everyone, because yeah, thank you.
And I love that Archangel Gabriel came in also, so super
Mhm.
healing and
Yeah.
super beneficial. Tanja, again, thank you so much for being on the call today. And again, great energies shifting through. And again, the second that you got on the pre-call, it's like I felt that surge and the shift that you were inviting in. And again, that's just what you bring. So thank you for what you do and how you're doing it.
Thank you. Thank
And
you so much
keep
for
on rocking it. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you everybody here live for sharing your energy with the group and for being here and on replay. And I'm just so excited to meet more of you and see you in the calls next month.
So wonderful. All right, y'all have a good night. And I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you. Have a great night.